Hi everyone, welcome to this week's weekly reading for the astrology and pick a card. This week it's a bit different. I usually have crystals. As you can see, I don't have any crystals with the cards, so that's because I'm doing fire signs. So if you're a Leo, Aries, or Sagittarius, that would be your pile, the first pile. This is for water signs, so Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, pile number 2. Air signs, Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. You guys have 3. And the last pile is for the earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So pretty easy this week. You don't have to, find the crystal and all that sort of stuff. So I'm also using these this week, my new Astro dice. So I can't wait to see how that comes into the reading for you guys. If you'd like to book a personal reading, please go to the link below to my online store. Unless you book an urgent reading, the turnaround time is 7 to 13, 14 business days because I'm pretty booked up at the moment. As I said, there are urgent readings though that you can choose. I'm just going to sip my tea and then I'm going to talk to you about the astrology. Alright, so I'm a bit late with this reading today because I've been doing face-to-face reading this morning, and I do that away from my home at a shop in Sydney. If you are in Sydney and want to book a face-to-face reading, you can. Just get in contact with me via the links below or through my website, that sort of thing. So, sorry, clearing my throat. So we just came off of this solar eclipse in Cancer, and that was yesterday. So the energy is still very much around. A lot of people felt that as kind of an emotional energy, but also an energy of wanting to create change. And I talked about all that last week, so I won't go through that all again, but just to say that, quite strong energies at the moment, and we are in eclipse season, so there will be another eclipse coming up soon, but I'll talk about that closer to the date. For this week, what we've got going is, obviously we're in Cancer season with the sun in Cancer, and I can't remember if I mentioned this is for the 22nd to the 28th of June, sorry. I'm a bit scatterbrained today. Alright, so we've got Mercury retrograde this week in Gemini. I talked about that last week as well, but it continues this week. I've already had stuff go weird with my phone and miscommunications and strange things with emails, so I've already noticed that is happening. And yeah, so this week the main stuff that I see is towards the end of this week we have... Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention a crucial thing. On Thursday, Venus goes direct. Yay! I'm ruled by Venus and Pluto, so when Venus has been retrograde, it just feels wrong to me. Obviously, everything, is synchronized, but I just feel that quite strongly when Venus is retrograde. And I'm sure a lot of people have felt that, especially if you're a Gemini, because Venus in Gemini. But it goes direct this week, so what you'll find is a bit more of a sense of ease to do with your relationships and, also money, finances, things starting to move forward, some clarity, hopefully, fingers crossed. But as I said, that's from Thursday. So from Thursday with Venus direct, you can expect some kind of easing of issues around relationships, okay? And clarity, as I said. A bit more clarity, hopefully. Unless you're someone that's got really heavy Neptune transits, you might be excluded from feeling that way, but yeah. But that's a side note. The other stuff that we've got this week is... okay, so towards the end of this week on the weekend, Mars will hit the critical degree of Pisces. So Mars is not very well placed in Pisces. Thank God we're coming to the end of that. And from the day after that, so on the 29th, Mars will actually move into Aries. So that goes into next week because this reading's up to the 28th. But I'll still mention it because it's right there on the very edge or the very end of this week. So it's good news that Mars is going to Aries, basically, because this will give us a lot more energy because Mars is in its home sign in Aries, okay? And especially if you're a fire sign, this is really good for you. If you've got anything in Aries, Sagittarius, Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, in particular Sun, Moon, Rising, well actually Sun and Rising, and Venus and Mars in particular, actually. If you have any of those in a fire sign, this is very good for you. So in the next week's reading, I'll talk about, I might mention how long Mars will be in Aries. It's going to be in there for a number of months, which is kind of unusual, but it's going to go into its retrograde cycle. But I'll mention that when it's more relevant to the timing. But all you need to know is, at the end of this week, we've got Mars on the critical degree of Pisces, which could create some confusion in terms of what things that are going on around us. Energy wise, we could be feeling a bit edgy just as Mars starts to tip into Aries. But then once Mars hits Aries, there's a sort of a feeling of, can be a feeling of refreshment, like, yes, okay, I'm moving forward in this area of my life and I want to, you know, Aries being the first sign as well, start anew with something or begin something new or feel this fresh energy. You'll notice it. You may feel more energized because coming out of Mars in Pisces, that's kind of a sort of a slower energy or a weaker energy for Mars. So we'll be less prone to escapism and negative escapist energy, and more into taking action in our lives in a positive and proactive sense. So you may start to feel more restless, basically, from the end of this week. So that's pretty much what I want to say, really. Not too much this week, but, you know, Mercury retrograde continues this week. Venus goes direct on Thursday, and Mars goes on the critical degree of Pisces before it turns into, or moves into, the sign of Aries for the 29th of June, which is good news. Okay, so let's look at the cards. So the first pile here, this is for, as I said, fire signs. So let's see what the fire signs have. So you guys have the Four of Wands. Interesting, because wands are fire. So we have home life represented here. Dwelling in truth. I stand in the light of truth. That's very much a Sagittarian theme. Oh, you guys have release, which is the number 9, which is letting go of something here. Just going to take a moment to sort of look at this. All right, so for some people there's something here to do with, you know, with the dwelling in truth. It could be to do with a realization about home and family, your background. There could be some issues that are coming up possibly with the Mercury retrograde in regards to other people in your life, whether it's family, you know, parents, siblings, other connections. But you're trying to release something actually from the past for the fire signs this week. And you know, the Four of Wands is actually quite a good card for home and family in general. So you might be thinking about what you want in terms of, you know, moving forward with your life in terms of a sense of belonging, like where do I belong? But there is something here though with the release card of needing to release something from the past. You know, as I said, it could be to do with family issues. You know, it could be a particular relationship, like a particular family member or something like that. I'm going to have a look at the Astro Dice here and see what you guys have fire signs for this week. So let's see what comes up. You guys have 7. You have Venus and the North Node. Interesting. So the 7th house with Venus and the North Node. Sorry, it's not the North Node. It's Leo. I apologize for that. It looks similar to the North Node, but no, it's Leo. So Venus in Leo, 7th house. Okay, so there could be, it's definitely referring to a relationship here. So 7th house Venus is like a relationship energy, letting go with this release card. But Leo is about following your heart. Okay, so dwelling in truth relates to that. It says, I stand in the light of truth. So there's something about listening to your heart and really following your heart. And maybe you're learning to listen to your heart more. For Leos, it's a bit more natural because they're ruled, like the Leo, sign of Leo rules the heart. It can be a little bit harder for Sagittarius and Aries, which they can tend to get a bit more in their heads. So it's about sort of, I'm getting, connecting the heart with the mind. So you can let go of things from the past that were not good for you and were holding you back. And it could be related to relationship. It could be related to family. Yeah, so, but there's something about letting go of something this week so that you can move forward with abundance and prosperity is what I'm feeling. Okay, so the next lot is for the water signs. Okay, water signs, what have you guys got? Acceptance, very much a Piscean theme. Receiving from angels, nice. And the Two of Pentacles, okay. So I'll just read these and then I'll see what the Astro Dice have for you guys. Alright, so, sorry if there's some glare action going on there. Just move that. Oh, okay. I think that's a bit better. So, the waning crescent moon with acceptance. There's something about, for the water signs, accepting. It feels very emotional, I have to say. There's a lot of blue energy here and it feels like throat chakra and heart chakra I'm getting. Can be relationship related because of the two hands trying to reach each other there. It's interesting. It feels like there's something about learning to be more accepting in some area of your life and learning to have a bit more balance. I really love this angel card here for you guys. It says, shimmering wings of angels, embrace me with love. It's reminding you that love is the only thing that really brings true inspiration and truth. And, you know, that's sort of an overarching kind of theme here about love and acceptance. And there's also something about duality here, as we can see with the two hands here and the two hands again juggling the pentacles. So I feel what I'm getting here is about having more of a sense of unity in some way, you know, and that could even be for you connecting your higher self with your emotions or with your logic. So, you know, bridging the gap between your crown chakra, you know, and your heart chakra, or your crown chakra and your heart chakra. So it's like finding that wisdom that comes from using both and not being too stuck in your mind and not being too stuck in your head and not being too stuck in your emotions either. It's kind of having that balance here. Let's look at the astro dice and see what you guys have. You guys have the 9th house, which is the Sagittarius house, the house of, you know, the higher mind. Funny, I was saying that, you know, it's the higher mind. It's wisdom. Okay, so you guys have 9. Also, it's about overseas connections, sometimes legal things, documents, paperwork, bigger picture issues going on in the world. There's also Mercury and Capricorn. All right, so Mercury is about communication. We do have Mercury retrograde this week, as I said, so there may be something going on with you with the Mercury retrograde, or something to do with revising things for you guys, or looking over things that could feel quite serious in nature with the Capricorn here, or long-standing issues in your life, like, because Capricorn represents time and what's old. So interesting, because Mercury comes up, the duality keeps getting my attention. So there's something where you're trying to sort of, for you guys, for you water signs, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, you're trying to come out of some kind of duality. You may be torn between your heart and your mind over something, or you may be trying to make a decision about something, and it's really asking you to connect with your guides, because they're receiving from angels. Be open to accepting the help as well from your angels and guides here. Don't feel that you have to do it all yourself with the Capricorn energy. So that's what I'm getting from this, is like there is higher guidance available to you. Be open to that and see what gets channeled through to you in terms of, you know, ideas or your intuition sparking certain things. With the Mercury retrograde, you can also be more open to your intuition with Mercury retrograde, because everything goes kind of more within. And so there are messages, I feel, for you guys, for the water signs this week, based on something that you've been thinking about that's preoccupying your mind. It could be a relationship, it could be your, you know, with Capricorn, it could be work, career related as well. All right, so the next one is for the air signs, Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra. So you guys have the Knight of Wands, which is a fiery masculine energy here. The Surrender card, interesting. And looking deeper, deep within me is a majestic radiance. Kind of profound vibes here I'm getting, I have to say. So for the air signs, it's talking about looking within. And look at all these jewels here. When you look within, you get these, you know, pearls of wisdom and these amazing insights that help you to help other people. There's something about surrendering to something here this week, and that came up for feels like it came up for all the signs in some different way. You know, the water signs had acceptance, and the fire signs had release. So very similar kind of themes going on here. So what I'm getting here is you may want to push ahead very strongly, air signs, this week, but what I'm getting is there's more of a need to kind of spend more time going within with these two cards. Definitely like meditation, self-reflection, really thinking about your patterns from the past as well, I'm getting, and looking at how your, you know, your own communications and your own way of interacting with others has influenced outcomes. Sometimes it's hard to see that, you know, the way we are sort of behaving or interacting with others can actually be creating the reaction that we get from others, you know. So there is something about reflecting here on what you're putting out to the world, the way you're putting it out, and maybe, you know, you need to spend a bit more time in self-reflection rather than in, you know, being stuck in a pattern of behavior or kind of just repeating the same way of communicating in some way. So that's what I'm picking up on. For some people, it's going deeper into yourself to find a lot of wisdom that you can then actually help others with this card here. Okay, so there's kind of there's two different messages here. One is for some people looking at past patterns is what I'm picking up on, and for other people it's going within. So excuse me, you can share your knowledge that you gain from going within with other people. So let's look at the astro dice for you guys. 10th house Libra, interesting because we've got air signs here, and the North Node. Okay, so there is something career related as well this week with the North Node in the 10th house, and the Libra energy comes out, which is about, yeah, your relationships with other people, and not only that, but your public standing and how others see you. Libra 10th house here is, you know, talking about being aware of how others are seeing you and being aware of what you're putting out into the world and your reputation in the world, and being a bit more balanced with the Libra energy here, or being a bit more aware of other people's feelings. It's not to say ignore your own feelings, but it is asking you to be a little bit more balanced, or to be aware of balanced energy perhaps. And it could be just for your life. Maybe you're spending too much time focused on something career related. Maybe you're spending too much time thinking about your future and where you're headed rather than being a bit more in the moment. The North Node here is a very ambitious energy with the 10th house, so yeah, that can definitely relate what I just said. And again, these are general readings. It may not relate to everybody, but there is something here about being preoccupied with getting ahead, being preoccupied with possibly advancing yourself in the material sphere of life. So yeah, interesting. Some people need to focus more on their immediate relationships and how you're doing in your life with those important relationships is what I'm getting here. Okay, and last one is for the earth signs. So that's not it. I'm going back. Here we go. Taurus, Capricorn and Virgo. Power. Oh, that's interesting. That's a nice card. We have the Star, which is the Aquarius card, and Cherishing Self. That's very earthy. There's food and drinks and stuff like that. And abundance. Wow. Okay, so this week for the earth signs, you're very in tune with your spiritual power is what I'm getting here. On this card there's a 16 there, which is a 7. 7's a very spiritual number, so I'm getting a very beautiful energy here. It almost reminds me of the High Priestess, but it's like Venus as well. So for the earth signs, this is advising you to stay very much in your power this week. Don't give your power away easily to others. Be aware of your communications with others, and have patience this week with something that you are possibly working on, that you're trying to manifest, a creative project perhaps as well. And with the Cherishing Self card for the earth signs, this is definitely about looking at diet, health, and you know, making sure that you're not overindulging in some way this week so that you feel good in yourself. And just with this card here, what I'm getting is if you've been working on a creative project, your diet and the way you handle your routine is going to help you to be more productive in your week this week is what I'm getting. Let's look at the astro dice for the earth signs. 3, which is the 3rd house of communication. You have Saturn, and you actually have Virgo, which is interesting. So very interesting. So okay, serious communications this week for the earth signs. This is what I'm seeing here with Saturn, Virgo and the 3rd house. And if it's not serious communications, it's seriously thinking about things in terms of your work with Saturn and Virgo here. It's very much your work, your career, how you earn your money. There could be communications with someone in authority, a boss, or you know, someone like that, or an older person. You may be helping an older person this week, or receiving news from an older person, or having a meeting with a boss. With the 3rd house, it's definitely short trips, communications. There we go. It's the first time I use the astro dice, and I really love them, so I hope you guys enjoyed that too. So as I said, if you'd like a personal reading, go to the links below. Thanks so much guys, and talk to you next week. Bye.